Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Nothing Like a Good Book. This is a different one, unusual, because normally we're talking about a novel from a point of view of a story, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. In this particular case, it's all about real life and it's all about career and career resources and, what can one do when one gets older and no one wants you and God knows what else, but there's a lot more to it than that. This Mark Brenner is the gentleman I'm talking about. He's the founder and CEO of Brenner Career Management Inc. and Veterans Career Exchange Inc. He was raised a little more than a three iron from Gotham. He attended college in the Midwest, Northeast, and completed his degree in California. He spent almost 3 years in the U.S. Air Force with 1 year in Vietnam in the 60s, and he had goals of becoming an attorney, maybe a photographer, and ended up in human resource, which led him to writing a book about why it is important to choose the right career. So that book, ladies and gentlemen, became an Amazon bestseller on Amazon. In fact, in the multi-category list, not just one. So that's a pretty big effort. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
You've spent decades in human resources and staffing, and you have your own business now in both consulting and transitioning veterans. It's been a bit of a journey for you.
It's been a long journey, but the ending of the journey is working out very well.
Well, that's what counts. For over 15 years, you owned a staffing company that you sold in, 2014?
Correct.
Began as a recruiter, and you were swiftly promoted to managing director, vice president, and president of a staffing company in the Midwest. And your business has allowed you to live in the Midwest, Colorado, you traveled to, and also California. You've traveled a little bit. What's your favorite place, if I was to ask?
Scotland.
Well, it's a long way from Colorado or California, isn't it? You began your second career after you sold your business as a coach, right? And initially, you were working with transitioning veterans to assist them in finding the right career after the military. So you moved your business in 2015 into the private sector as a career executive and business coach. Have you found that challenging?
I have found it exciting, rewarding, and in some cases challenging.
Well, you've successfully coached hundreds of clients, helping them to find the right position with the right company. I want to get to the book in just a second, but define Brenner Career Management for me, if you would.
I started the company as a coaching organization and took the expertise I had in both finding the right career, being an executive, and owning my own business, and combined the three into the core competencies of Brenner Career Management. Most of the work I do is with career coaching and executive coaching. I do some limited business coaching, but the career coaching is a very exciting opportunity for me to work with people who are looking to find that right career or transition their career and find the right company that they can work for, where there's a synergy between them and the company. And it's been quite rewarding. I take on up to about 14 clients at one time because I want to be effective, and it's been extremely successful in finding people the jobs.
So Mark, tell me then, what is the benefit of career coaching?
Well, career coaching is much different from recruiting. Career coaching is giving and teaching the process of navigating the hiring cycle. I would suggest that a great deal of people do not know how to look for a job, do not know how to navigate the hiring cycle. For example, sending a resume into a specific job opening is usually going to get you a rejection or no response at all. My process works with extensive networking training, understanding how to find the company that's a cultural fit for you, how to find that company that you want to work for. The most important thing and the theme of my whole coaching process is to make sure that you find the job that you want. Don't let the job choose you. I've seen too many instances where somebody's offered a salary, they don't know too much about the company, they accept the job, they walk in the first day and they say, I didn't really sign up for all of this. And then 6 months later, they're looking for a job again.
Hmm.
So what we try to do, or what I try to do in my coaching, is to make sure that the clients that I'm working with understand the direction they want to take, the kind of company they want to work for, and make sure they ask the appropriate questions to know if, in fact, this is the right company for them.
Well, it's novel thinking. I mean, it's perfect in a perfect world, but of course, I guess a lot of things come into that, Mark. People are desperate to get a job, then you grab at anything, then you make that mistake. But let's say you're not desperate. You're already working, you've already got a good job, but you really want to move on, and this particular ad that you read then appeals to you. But you're saying that maybe you don't do enough. What is it? You don't do enough research to be sure that it's the right one for you?
Correct. And one of the things I'll tell prospective clients is if they're just looking for a job, they really don't need me. My process includes putting together an attractive resume that will allow them to be noticed by a potential employer, understanding how important networking is and talking to the right people so you can get an understanding of what the company's like, what the culture's like, what it's like to work there. If in fact they have a lot of turnover, and if they do, maybe that's a red flag. And then taking that conversation and segueing the conversation into the fact that it sounds like a great company to work for. Who would I speak to about a position?
Hmm.
I have found that when my clients do this, they get to the right people to talk about a position that may exist, a position that they were thinking about hiring for, and in a lot of cases, a lot of my clients have spoken to the person at a company, and because of the synergy they created during that conversation, a job was created for them.
Right. So you're dedicated to coaching clients who are seeking, though, not necessarily a new, but maybe a first position as well. And as you say, the theme of your coaching is to find the career that, I may want versus what I think I may want because the ad was appealing to me. Henceforth, you say, don't let the career choose you. It sounds like you're encouraging people to dig deep and to really be honest with themselves and say, you know what, I'd love to be doing, and stick to that. And then, if they haven't got a clue how to go about it, that's where somebody like you steps in with the benefit of career coaching.
Correct. It's interesting in the first chapter of my book, which is entitled Why It's Important to Choose the Right Career. The first sentence I have in there is about me. And it says, I had a great career, I made good money, but what was I thinking? And you get into a position, you have goals in your life, but then you get into a certain level, a comfort level, and you don't want to make a move. And I try in a lot of instances to take folks out of their comfort level to get to where their passions lie, to find the job that they really want to work in, where they can be happy and they can look back 10 years from now and say, I made the right decision.
Hmm. Well, you could be challenging the status quo there, though, right? It's difficult to move out of a comfortable position. You good money, you're safe, you're secure, basically. Everything, you got a mortgage, you're driving cars, you're doing this and that. But again, it's a case of, you know what, I've got to be honest with myself, right? And you're suggesting, hey, do that. Don't get too comfortable.
A lot of my clients know the direction that they want to take. Some do not. I think that what you're referring to would be the latter. The ones that know the direction they want to take, we find the right company for them and the right position for them.
Now, from what I'm to understand, Mark, your program is network based, so you don't, have your clients wholesale their resumes through job boards like thousands do. What's your modus operandi then?
It is network based. I think the concept of job boards is great. However, I don't think the technology has yet to catch up to them. So what we do is we identify employees of a company that we should talk to. I have a dual networking process where not only do I have my clients network into companies, but I also network for them on their behalf. And I've found that to be quite a successful venture when I am reaching out to some management people at a company, letting them know that I'm working on behalf of my client and that they would be a great addition to their team.
Hmm.
I attach a copy of their resume and ask them to please reach out to them directly. And I've had tremendous success in having people do this.
It sounds good. I mean, you're not hurting anybody. You're not pitching, selling. You're not, you're sort of opening the door, aren't you, to improve the company that
Well,
you're approaching.
my outreach is not invasive. I in fact let them know that I'm not a recruiter, that I'm not trying to sell them anything, but I'm working on behalf of my client, and I believe that my client would be a great addition to your team. And I've had companies reach directly out to my clients from my outreach to these folks.
So, is the actual coaching process guaranteed?
No, the result is not guaranteed. I do in my programs have guarantees. For example, I have a 6 session package. They're 1 hour sessions. And my guarantee is that if after 3 sessions, for any reason, they decide not to continue coaching, I will refund the remaining unused sessions. That said, in 10 years, I've only had to make 4 refunds. In 3 cases, the folks I was working with uh, received job offers in the third and fourth session.
Hmm.
And the fourth one was a business coaching engagement where I actually believe I talked the uh, 2 gentlemen out of starting their own business.
Hmm. That's pretty good, mate. They're good numbers. And tell us a little bit then. How have you translated this into the book? Why do you think the book has been so successful?
Well, I think the book has been successful because it is a guide that you can go back and refer to. Um, I would say that 2/3 of the book deals with networking and interviewing. We've talked a little bit about networking, but the interview process in today's environment is borderline broken. Uh, and the process has become not so much your technical ability to do the job, but more, it's almost a 50-50 split between your behavioral and soft skills and how you would work within their organization as well as your technical skills. And we
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on the interview process and questions that they could be asked. And the clients I have are prepared for everything they can possibly prepare for, except I always tell them, expect the unexpected.
Well, that's good advice, isn't it? But when you talk about all the things that you do to prepare, I mean, take somebody A who is just applying for a job. Number one, it's even got to get to be read. So, it's got to get through the old AI today. God knows what else. How do you make sure your resume is ATS proof?
One of the ways that we do that is we use AI and try to extract the key words from and if there is a job description. But the ATS system almost doesn't apply in some cases because if you network properly into a company, your resume is really just a validation of who you are, and the networking conversations will, in most cases, take you in that transition from the networking process into the interview process.
Hmm. Founder and CEO Mark Brenner, and his company is Brenner Career Management Inc. and the Veterans Career Exchange Inc., which we're going to touch on in just a second. But the name of the book again is what, Mark?
It's your career, it's your choice.
It's your career, it's your choice, but why it's important to choose your career. I mean, it's totally a flip, isn't it? The other way around. You're choosing what you may really like to do, and you probably thought in your life, oh, look, I could never do that. I mean, I could never get deep enough, never get it across what I can do and what I'd really like to offer a company. Well, all this is what he does, all this stuff. Let me ask you then, Mark, what are the most important components of a successful coaching program?
I think the most important program part of a coaching program is the synergy that I have between myself and my clients. Folks that I have interviewed to become clients. I'm very selective about who I bring on as a client, only because of the fact that if I don't feel I can work with them, if I don't feel they're committed to their career, I will let them know that I don't think that there's a match there. So the successful components are, um, I think there's three things in the successful component of a coaching program. One is my clients' ability and desire to get the job that they want. Um, Two is the job market. And right now, I believe the job market is still pretty good. I do not know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 9 months because of the atmosphere surrounding our country. But at this point, the job market is still pretty good. Um, and finally, it's really getting them to understand how they need to get into a company, network into a company, and become part of the organization even before the interview, so that at the interview point, it's almost a formality.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, what you're telling me is the resume is extremely important. What percentage would you find are useless resumes that come to you versus what you've got to recreate?
I think the resume is important, but I don't think it's the most important part of the process. I think the resume is validation of who you are, but it's not going to get you a job. What's going to get you a job is the networking part, getting an understanding of the company, letting them getting an understanding of you, and taking that into the interview process and making sure that you understand what you're looking for in the interview. I've had a couple instances where I've had clients go on interviews and respectfully end the interview because it was not the kind of company they wanted to work for.
Hmm.
So I think that it really is it's one of the things I tell my clients is um, about the interview process. It's your interview too. So you're interviewing the company while they're interviewing you, and you can make a decision whether or not you would like to work there.
That's right. Yeah, it is. It's mental capacity there to, it's thinking like that. It's being straight up and straightforward. I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one that has got to deliver for them, and you've got to be happy to do that. So you might as well be upfront right there before you go any further. But if you can get that far, but I'm getting at where people send thousands of resumes, never get a word back, never get a phone call back or email. This is the normal way of doing things, right? Job boards, sending stuff out, and people wonder why. Whereas with you, you're literally shaping them and defining them and preparing everything. And this is why the resume itself, yes, it's obviously got to look good and state the facts and make it interesting enough, I guess, for the decision maker to even have a quick glance at it all and say, well, apart from the fact that Mark has already talked to us and told us why he'd be a benefit, I can see why, with what he's done, is at least interesting. So they must read it more than they would normally, Mark.
I think the resume, the reading of the resume, the template that I have created um, allows somebody to look at the first 15 lines of the resume and see who they are, what they've done, how they do it, and basically what they can do for the company. Uh,
Hmm.
it has been my experience that regardless of how good a resume is, you've got 15 lines and 45 seconds to really attract somebody's attention.
That's what they say. It's very limited, isn't it, at the beginning?
Right. So I try to take out all the descriptive adjectives, all the fluff in the resume. I incorporate word parsimony by letting them know to say as much as they can in as few words as possible. Um, and take out words like motivated, hardworking, um, so that or professional, because every company is going to want you to be motivated, hardworking, and professional.
Right.
You don't have to restate the obvious.
Yeah, that's a train of thought, isn't it? The old thinking that we had to convince people that that's how we are, and if that's what you're looking for, this is what I can give you. But you're saying there's no need for all of that.
No, and there's also, for example, there's no need on a resume to put hobbies and interests. Um, and because, and I'll give you a really bad analogy.
Okay.
My analogy is if you put down golf as a hobby, and the person reading your resume got hit in the head with a golf ball over the weekend, they may not want to talk to you.
Yeah, the odds of that happening, though, huh? I always thought, and I guess people listening too have applied for enough jobs, are trying to give an overview of themselves, what sports they played. I mean, isn't the old thing about if you went to school with or if you played in the same teams as, doesn't that still apply these days? Maybe the guy interviewing or the woman interviewing you, was in the women's basketball team or something, and she relates to basketball. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter, you
But
say.
in submitting your resume, you don't know that. That is part of what you can use as part of the networking or interview conversation to create more of a synergy. But on the resume, it should not state anything that could possibly disqualify you from
Hmm.
getting the position.
Interesting. Very interesting. So the resume is important, but not as we think it should be. And you fix all of that up when you do that. So how much time then, should one allocate to job search?
Well, I've always said that looking for a position is a full-time job. I think that if you are committed to finding the right position with the right company, you'll spend as much time during the week as you can to look for that position. On the one hand, if you're working, you're going to be restricted on the amount of time that you have. If you're not working, perhaps the urgency is a little bit more and you can spend more time looking for a position.
Hmm. So how do you select your clients?
I have referrals coming to me. Um, I work with folks that I know I can help. There are some folks that I have told, I don't think I can assist you in finding what you're looking for. For example, I spoke to a software engineer who was specific to one software program, and there were limited opportunities for them to find a position in the geographical area that they were looking for. And it was almost it was almost a formula for failure. And so, I said that, if we're going to look for something, we're going to have to expand our horizons, and they weren't willing to do that.
Hmm. Not a shame. So, what about the Veterans Career Exchange, Mark? How did you get involved with that? What does that do?
When I started looking at coaching, I did hundreds of hours of research in what coaching was about, and it's a relatively new industry. It's an unregulated industry, but as I was doing my research, it kind of evolved into the veteran space. And as a veteran, I did a little research on that, and I could not find one smaller organization other than the large organizations like Wounded Warriors and U.S. Vets, who were doing one-on-one coaching with veterans as they were transitioning from the military, trying to find them a civilian career path and not just get them into a minimum wage position. So at that point, I put together a 501c3 corporation, started going to every veterans meeting I could in Southern California and in Northern California. And over a course of about 3 years, I coached about 250 veterans with about an 85% success rate.
Oh, that's very good.
And it was rewarding. It was a wonderful opportunity to work with the veteran community. Um, Unfortunately, when the unemployment rate for veterans went from 16% to 6%, most of the non-government funding kind of dried up. And so it was at that point that I created Brenner Career Management and started taking my coaching into the private sector. That said, I still do veterans coaching. I have a contract with an organization named Gold Coast Veterans Foundation, and I do career coaching for the veterans that come through Gold Coast.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And look at the numbers you've helped as well, because all we hear about, unfortunately, is the negative side of the vets passing on at, expedient rates. And really, when someone comes out of the service, they've got a lot of skills, one way or another, to offer, but they need guidance, they need help. And that's what, your Veterans Career Exchange has been doing as the 501c. Very good work. Is that covered in the book as well?
I have a special veterans section in there, and to tell you a little quick story. When I first started Veterans Career Exchange, it was a different name, and I named it Silhouettes for Vets.
Right.
And I did that because, and I had to change it later, but I did that because in the late 50s, early 60s, there was a song by the Silhouettes called Get a Job. And so I figured that that was a great way to just talk about positions. What I realized early on is that nobody remembered that song, and very few people can spell silhouettes. So that's when we changed the name to Veterans Career Exchange.
Well, you could look it up now. For listeners, it's www.vcxchange, right? Is that a C or an E?
It's
Yeah, right.
vcxchange.org.
.org. Yes, it is a C. www.vcxchange, all one sentence .org. And the other side to be able to get hold of Mark is www.bcm.la. Right? www.bcm.la. Usually a lot of drivers with podcasts, of course, listening, and sometimes they can't write down things very quickly unless they pull over or got a fantastic memory. So that's why I like to go over them. But you're also on LinkedIn, your URL, linkedin.com/in, the usual /Mark Brenner dash coach. And the book again, it's your career, it's your choice, nobody else's, it's yours. But just a reminder, this is a lovely gift when you think about it. If you've got a friend or a family member who's thinking of, changing ways, careers or out of work at the moment, whatever. This book was the number one multi-category bestseller on Amazon. What does that mean, Mark? Well, in career guides, number one, in job resumes, in job interviewing, job hunting, in careers, in self help, motivational self help, in vocational guidance, volunteer work. It goes on and on and on and on. So at the end of the day, it wouldn't have done that unless it's got a lot to tell you and share with you and help you. So that's fantastic. It's your career, it's your choice. It was written by Mark Brenner from Brenner Career Management Inc. And I also like to give, well, there's two things you can have to contact Mark. There is a company phone number, which is, get a pen ready. That's 818 987 7782. 818-987-7782. And of course, the email again is Mark, spelled the same as mine, with a K, MARK, at bcm.la. Okay, fantastic. Well done, mate. I mean, that's a big effort. Good job. You must be pretty. And you're also on Twitter too. The URL there at Brenner Career. Anybody can contact you. They've got enough information now, and you're easy to find. And you don't charge you don't lose an arm and a leg, do you? With you, I mean, can you share what sort of money we're talking? Because for all you do, it's just darn worth it. You know what I mean?
Well, for the veterans that I work with, there's no charge to the veterans. Uh,
Okay.
I work through, as I said, Gold Coast, and I have a contract with them, so they pick up the cost for the veterans.
Mm-hmm.
My programs, I have a variety of programs that are
Okay.
priced accordingly, and the pricing will vary based upon the skill set, the difficulty of finding the work, um, and if there is difficulty, and the length of time. I have an unlimited session package. I have a 6 session package. I have a
Hmm.
4 session package, and then I have individual component packages. For example, if you need a resume, if you need network training or interviewing training, I will do that individually.
So there you go. I mean, how good is this? It's just not a one hat fits all. Hmm? What
Yeah,
a what a
and
great way of divvying it all up.
every every program is customized to meet the needs of each individual. I have a general coaching outline, but in general, I will take that general outline and customize it to meet their needs because some of the components in the outline they do not need, and some of the components that are not included in the outline we will include in the program.
Yeah, I guess this comes to fore in the book because when I look at the things I didn't mention, motivational business management and leadership, education and reference, business and investing. So there's a lot of factors. Marvelous book. I think it'd be a terrific gift, to be honest with you, as well as for oneself. But it can be got on Amazon. Anywhere else or just Amazon?
Just Amazon.
Okay. Do you have your own site at all where people can buy direct or is it off Amazon?
Yes, it's they can buy the book. I would rather them go to Amazon, but they can go to the number 5 star publishing group .com.
Fivestarpublishinggroup.com. Okay. Most people go through Amazon. All right. Thank you, Mark. It's been enlightening, I've got to tell you. Keep it up. You're helping a lot of people there maybe find happiness for the rest of their lives. Brenner Career Management, Inc. and Veterans Career Exchange, Inc. It's the founder and CEO we've had on this particular episode, Mark Brenner. Been very interesting, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for including me, Mark. I appreciate you reaching out and doing this. I think it'd be a great help for anybody who's interested in really finding that right position.